Hello guys, this is my third video, and in today's video I want to share with you the things that Dutch people are not so good at compared to my previous video when I was talking to you about the things that Dutch people are really good at. Okay, let's get started, right? So the first thing is emotional closeness and unawareness. As you could hear from me earlier, Dutch people have a lot of strong character, strong parts of their cultural character, if I can call it that way. But there are also some weak points. Dutch people can be very close and emotionally unaware. So there is a chance that you can have a nice conversation with a Dutch person about something intellectual, about something logical, technical, but there is a very little chance that you're going to have a nice conversation with a Dutch person about something emotional, personal, and very deep. Dutch people tend to not reflect on these things. They tend to keep those things private and for themselves, and perhaps don't even share them with their partners. Yeah, it's quite hard to experience at first, especially for me, coming from a Russian culture where in the family we tend to open up a lot. We tend to discuss the way we feel in details. And Dutch people don't do that. Like, you can come to a Dutch family dinner, like when you're invited, and they will offer you food. They ask you which drink would you like to have, but it's all will be very formal and very cold. At first, it's kind of hard to understand what exactly is bothering you so much. Why people are trying to be polite with you. They're offering you food. You know, they're asking if you liked everything, if you want some more. But you feel so lonely and you kind of keep waiting for something. But you're gonna ask yourself, what am I waiting for? Like, why is it bothering me? It takes a really long time to understand. But in the end, you come to the conclusion that I'm actually expecting a warm, heart-to-heart conversation. I'm actually expecting people, to open up with each other a little bit more and actually share the way they feel. But these things sometimes, most of the times, unfortunately, don't happen. Dutch people won't do that, and that's quite sad. I'm not saying it's in every family, okay? Don't get me wrong. There's so many Dutch people who having a very good, close relationship in the family, who are really connected to each other and stay in tune with each other's feelings. But in general, this is the way it is. They will stay polite, respectful, friendly, but when it comes to personal things, closed. And there's nothing you can do to open them up. They won't, or so little, and it will take you so much energy to get it out from them that it's in the end, it's just not worth it. And for me, for instance, as a person who comes from a Russian culture where people are very serious and cold with each other in a public area when they don't know each other, and so open, warm, and welcoming when it comes to relationship in a family, for me there was quite a challenge. I'm so happy that it's not in my family, it's not with my husband, because my husband is very internationally minded. He picked me for that reason, because he enjoys emotions, he enjoys emotional connections, and we don't have it in our family. But a lot of families do have that, and among my husband's relatives and a bigger family, yeah, this thing happened. I mean, you can't blame them for that. Their culture, maybe they never experienced it before. Maybe they never had a chance to enjoy it in their family. But it's something what I've been really missing here. And if not my husband, I would probably, I don't know what I would probably do. So I'm really happy that in our family, it doesn't work that way. Okay, and next point is closeness and rudeness. As I said earlier, yes, Dutch people, they can be very, very close with other people, besides their friendliness and party attitude and everything. They also can be very cold. You can share your emotions with them, and the biggest thing you will hear is oh, it's not good, or it's not fine, and that's it. For me, it was I'm opening up to you, I'm sharing with you my feelings. I'm telling you something maybe not super private, it's just I don't do these things, but quite personal. I want to feel your emotional reaction. I want to connect with you on an emotional level. But there is a yeah, but there's a very little chance that this person will respond you back in the same way. Again, not all people. I have Dutch friends. I know people who are not like that, and they're very sweet. They're able to respond, you know, appropriately. But a lot of Dutch people, unfortunately, remain cold, and this is something we'd have to be ready for. Okay, the next point. The next point is suspiciousness toward immigrants. Yes, that also happens, but a lot of people, you know, they like to see Dutch people as super tolerant because they allow all this drugs, you know, light drugs. They are very tolerant to all the LGBT community. But when it comes to immigrants, they're very, very suspicious. Trust me, I know that from my own experience. But when it comes, I think it's also influenced by the area where you live, because I'm living in North Brabant, I'm living in Tilburg, and it's still a very much a provincial area. So in cities like Amsterdam, Rotterdam, Utrecht, things work a little bit differently, you know, and people are more aware of all these cultural differences. Excuse me, I'm just watching about my belongings because I'm filming it in the park. As you can see, it's just very, very pretty down there. And yeah, this is who Dutch people are. Sometimes they tell me in the face like, oh, you have such a lovely English. Where do you come from? And then I say, I come from Moscow, from Russia. And they're like, oh. And they give you like such a look that, you know, like everything immediately, you know, is, you know, like, oh my gosh, like something has changed now because, you know, I come from Russia, like you now see me differently. But they're very suspicious. I have come across a few not very nice situations, and I probably make a video for that, like separately for that topic. Excuse me, some people going in the background. It's a bit annoying, but it's a public area. Yeah, but this is how they are and how they deal with things. Excuse me, I just make sure there's no children that will come across, and I will not be blocked on YouTube for showing kids. Okay, the next one is believe in natural talent rather than hard work. Dutch educational system is quite unique. It's a bit different. The basic education, the elementary school starts at 4 years old. So at 4 years old, most of Dutch children already go to school. And by the time they're 12, they get their report from school based on the test, the final test, and the teacher's report, which way of in education they have to pursue. Well, I kind of find it hard to believe, you know, that a teacher and a final test can actually define your whole educational path and whole your career path. But Dutch people, as I said earlier, they really have a trust in their system, so they really believe that a teacher can actually see what a child's talents are, you know, what child's natural inclinations are. And well, they just go with it. They think at 12 years old they have three educational paths. One path guides you to the way of working with your hands. Another path, like the middle path, let's call it, guides children to work with more intellectual, let's say, with the mind, but do something more practical. And the last path is more of a theoretical education, when you go to university and yeah, pursue other things. Just making sure that, you know, I'm staying still focused in there. So Dutch people do believe in their system, and they just tend to go with it. They tend to trust the fact that the teacher in a final test can define their career path. But in my opinion, it's too early. In my opinion, you know, nobody can feel the child better than his or her parents, while of course the opinion of the teacher is very, like, you know, trusting and very valid. You know, you have to take it into consideration, but you can't really make a decision regarding a child's path so early. Okay, the next point. Believing in that, like I said earlier, believe in natural talent rather than the hard work. Yeah, that's. And the next point is a bit more sensitive. I don't mean to hurt a lot of Dutch women, because I think, yeah, I shouldn't do that. You know, I should stay respectful. I'm basically an immigrant, even though I'm a Dutch citizen at the moment, but still. But Dutch women are not very well kept in general. I mean, you can see a lot of women who are not using their makeup whatsoever. They're not trying to look even a bit younger than they really are. I'm not saying doing something ridiculous with yourself and, you know, just have a whole bunch of operations. Not really. But just in general, just, you know, doing something to look pretty, to spend some time to look better. A lot of Dutch people just not really care. They just go, like, it feels like they just woke up in the morning, wash their face, maybe brush their teeth, and just went to work. They're not trying to, you know, to kind of look a bit better. But yeah, that's who they are, and this is how they do things. You know, they think then they look natural, and that's enough. You know, in my opinion, it's not. In my opinion, you know, if you're a woman, you should use a bit of a makeup, you know, but I'm not really saying you should, okay? You shouldn't do anything, you should do what you feel like, yeah? But it's something what very pleasant to see. But Dutch people don't share that opinion. They think they can be just natural by themselves, and they shouldn't try so hard. But okay, it's not all Dutch women, again. I'm just generalizing here. As I said, I live in the provincial area, so it's not a capital. It's not the most expensive city in the country. Yeah, but this is my view. This is what I have noticed. Being cheap. Well, a lot of people complain that Dutch people are cheap, and you know, there is some truth in it. They can be cheap, you know. They like to save money. That's really true. It doesn't really apply to my husband, but a lot of Dutch people, they try to save on everything, even on the heating. They can sit in a cold room, an apartment, but saving the money. It's not about how much they can save, but the fact that they're saving, that's what they enjoy, you know. For me, it is too much. I don't see the necessity for such a behavior, but that's how they do. So I can't really argue with this cultural aspect of their life. I'm so happy it's not like this in my family. But yeah, I've heard a lot of stories, like women saying that, you know, their husbands say like, oh, you shouldn't use a lot of gas, you know, trying to bake something, you know, you should just use a pan and oil, and that's enough, you know. Because, you know, it's very expensive to use gas in the Netherlands. And yeah, that's, for me, it's just way too much. But in Dutch culture, it's very pragmatic, as I said, you know, it's very structural, it's very logical to do that. And for them, logic a lot of times overrides any other feelings or emotions or anything. If it's logical, if it makes sense, it's good to do. That's it. And that's quite strange at times. And it's something what I'm not a big fan of. But I'm so happy, again, as I said, it's not really our family rule. So if you want to bake something, we bake, you know. Okay, the next point is sometimes Dutch people are too relaxed. What do exactly I mean when I say too relaxed? Well, especially when you need to do some stuff with the paperwork and you need to be in contact with the government, with local government, or you have some physical complaints and you are trying to contact your GP, you know, which is called huisarts, your home family doctor, home doctor, wherever you want to translate it, and you say, oh, you need an appointment. They can say, oh, are you sure? We can ask. Or what do you need it for? And they're like, they prefer to wait. And like a lot of times it feels like people are not really in a hurry at their working places. They are so relaxed. Oh, it's fine, things will be all right. Oh, you can wait, it's not really necessary. Oh, I will do that. Oh, I will answer you like in 3 days. And that's the working attitude of Dutch people. They're really taking the time. They're not really like in a hurry, you know, to make sure they can organize their life perfectly. And yeah, that can be different. It can be difficult for a person like me who comes from Moscow, from Russia, from such a big city which is very active. And also I spent a year and a half, I said 2 years in my previous video, but technically it was a year and a half in New York, where everything is super fast, super active. That's a city that never sleeps. And then you come to a place where everything is so slow, so relaxed, and it really takes time for you to readjust, you know, to get used to the environment and to slow down a bit. Okay, and the next point, a lot of times Dutch people mistake things like being relaxed and being emotionally cold. That's something what really important for me, because I have experienced it at the place which is in Netherlands called Consultatiebureau. Consultatiebureau is a place where you go with your child to check up on his growth and development and to get an appropriate vaccination at the right time. And the first 3 months with my lovely son were just a torture. You know, he cried so much, he had severe stomach cramps, and nothing helped, and it was so bad, it was so difficult, and I was so stressed out and nervous about it, because, you know, I mean, you're trying to stay positive and relaxed, but when you're a child like crying and crying because he has pain and you can't do anything to take it away from him, and after every feeding is torture, it's quite stressful. And when I was talking to a doctor at the place called Consultatiebureau, she was constantly trying to tell me, oh, but how do you feel about your child crying? I said, like, what do you mean? How any normal woman would feel if a child cries? You know, you feel horrible. No, but I'm just saying, like, do you get stressed? You know, she basically was trying to find, like, what's wrong with me that my child cries, while I knew that I had no postparental depression. You know, I was not experiencing any, like, mental health major issue at that moment to feel bad. If I had, I would have probably go to other places, not to a pediatrician, you know, to share my concerns with. And yeah, that was quite difficult. And what else can I say? This is how she responded, and yeah, I kind of closed up the topic. And I was telling you about this because I want to give you an example of how sometimes Dutch people mistake being relaxed and being cold. So if a general Dutch mom comes to a doctor with this cold face and she'll say, oh, that is not nice, I find it not good, they will say, very good, relaxed mom, perfect, you know, good to go. But if you come there and just say, you know what, I'm just like really like worried about my son, I'm really concerned, I have these feelings, they're like, oh, she's not relaxed. So what eventually happens is a lot of Dutch women tend to play this relaxed mode face while they just bottle up their own emotions. You can see clearly, you know, all human beings, we have some anxiety at times, we have worry at times, we can be upset at times, angry at times. And they show this blank face to the world just to show how rustig, in Dutch they call it. But it's not rustig, it's just you're closed from your children, you're closed from your husband, you're closed from the world, you're playing, you put this mask on. This is a totally different situation. It's not the way it is and shouldn't be that way. But this is how Dutch people do. Not all of them, as I said earlier. I know people who don't do that. I know people who had parents who did exactly the things that I have just described to you. And they have gone a long way of working with a psychologist or by themselves on their own view of raising children. And they reconsider a lot of things, and they're not copying their parents' behavior. Rather than they creating a new way of interacting with their children, more emotional, more warm, more open. And I admire those people the most, because that's a hard work. We all have these weak spots in our cultures. None of our culture is perfect, you know. We all have strong parts and weak ones. And it's good when we can actually reflect on the weak parts, acknowledge them, and work through those difficulties. And I think this is worth everything. Okay guys, that was the last point of the things that I find not so successful when it comes to Dutch people and Dutch culture. And it was nice talking to you. It was nice sharing with you my reflection, my experience, my opinions, my views. And I hope it's going to be interesting for you to watch. Maybe you will agree, maybe you will disagree. Perhaps your experience is totally different from mine, and that's okay. I trust you that you have seen completely different Dutch people and you haven't noticed anything I've noticed, because we have different people around us. We have different perception of things. I totally respect your opinion. I'm not insisting that I'm the only one who is right and knows how it really is. But it's a Dutch life from my eyes. It was nice seeing you all. in my comments. I already see you there. And I hope we will see each other in next videos, and you will enjoy the things I'm sharing with you. Bye!